Hello.
A very warm welcome to the second panel discussion today about smart hospitals transforming healthcare with next gen technology. We have our esteemed panelists with us joining. The moderator being Mr. Neeraj Lal, who is the Group Senior Vice President, Medicover Hospitals India. We have Dr. S.M. Saptanekar, who is the Medical Director, Godrej Memorial Hospital. Mr. Kishor Gojiya, who is the Head IT, CMS Hospital Private Limited. We have Dr. Subair Khan, Managing Director, Orthomed Multispeciality Hospital, and Mr. Raj Shekher Janapareddy, who is the Director for Bloom Hospitals. We are awaiting for Dr. Madhurkar Gaikwad also to join with us. I welcome everyone to this panel discussion, and Neeraj sir, I leave the virtual dais to you for moderating the session.
Thank you so much. I think it is a wonderful session in this negative time. So let's talk something positive. What is there in the positive part of healthcare? And we got a wonderful panel here now. So we'll be in this 1 hour time, we'll be talking about smart hospital, how this technology is changing the way we give the healthcare to our patients. So my first questions, let's start the questioning because we got 1 hour to Dr. Subair Khan. How are you, Dr. Subair Khan? Fine. So first question, see, India and other countries is witnessing second wave, third wave, fourth wave. I don't know which number it is, but pandemic is here to stay for a long time. So India, if you see healthcare per se, it is a slower adopter of technology. Some people say it is second after shipping. So how do you think the pandemic has impacted healthcare for the adoption of technology? So what are your views on this? You are on the mute mode. So first, you are on the mute mode, Dr. Khan.
Yeah, I got it. Good morning, all. That's a nice question. Like as you said, the technology in India, like if you consider other countries, we are way behind, and our doctors and the team adapting to the technology. Of course, there is a lot of resistance when it started. Way back in, 15, 20 years before, when I started my learning curve, way back in 2004, there are only few centers in India who has digitalized the entire system of the hospital healthcare. We call it as HMS, Hospital Management System, or the software. But of course, now each and every hospital will have a HMS. I think you all agree with me. But only problem is how we get implemented, how we use it. That is the main problem, because all hospital have software, the receptionist will be using it, the billing staff will be using it, but not the doctor. The idea of HMS doesn't just end there with just billing on it, but also documentation. So there are two things which I want to tell. One is why we are slow and how the pandemic has changed us today, and how the technology is helping us. First, let us complete like what has happened and what is the importance of technology per se. Because we need to know that documentation is very important when it comes to healthcare, not only for billing and other purposes, but when it comes to treatment of the patient. For instance, I'm a surgeon. I've been operating for almost 15, 16 years. If you consider 15 years before, we used to go abroad and learn. For example, on particular surgery, we go learn and come back and try it here because they have a documentation of the cases for quite long time. So they are able to publish and they go to get results, and we follow their footpath like the Westerners. But now we consider we have a good amount of volume of cases and we still do the same amount of work what has been done there. In fact, the technology has also helped the implant and the instrumentation, which was not available in early days, is right away available with us. As we had a discussion about it, like AI, it is still available in India. We already got it in a lot of departments, but only thing is implementation is not there. What I'm trying to say is the technology has already come. We are not documenting to the system. See, one is a time consuming. So we see patients, we give prescription, it takes only 10 minutes. But when you document it on a computer, it takes time. So the doctor's perception is it is going to take time when I put everything on the system. But it is not true. But actually speaking, if you start using software, because I use documentation and my entire prescription is all electronic in my hospital. since my clinic days, since 2008, I've been following the system. Almost it's been 13 years. I never give a prescription on written, and all my patients we have documented because I know the value of documentation and we know what is the result. In our setup, at least we're able to implement that, and 90% of the doctors have convinced to use it. And the rest 10% were visiting, I'm still not able to do. Why I'm trying to say that is today we are facing a big pandemic. Now we come to the second part. We are facing a big pandemic where patients, apart from the pandemic, there are other cases like diabetic, non-pandemic or non-COVID patients, like orthopedic patients who are not able to move, walk and who has pain and all. So they need to consult. And there are a lot of patients we already operated. They will be suffering there. They will know. They want to know for the follow-up, and those are the areas where the technology helped a lot. In fact, I would say 10 years before, when there is a patient who had a fracture who is sitting in a hospital, we need to go and see the X-ray to identify what is the fracture and what is the treatment to be done. Now we have a trained assistants. We see the X-ray in the WhatsApp. Just a second, you get it. Once the X-ray is done in the hospital, so the treatment can be immediately implemented to the patient. They need not wait. The waiting time for the patient in an emergency situation is made it very simple. For instance, getting a cardiologist in a small or mid-segment hospital immediately for a patient with an MI or a chest pain, it takes time. But now you do a drop D, you do a ECG, you do an echo, send the films to the cardiologist, you got an instant reply. At least you can start the treatment faster. So the technology definitely is helping us. And during this pandemic also, for instance, in our setup, we have two blocks. One block we have dedicated for COVID patients. There is a team separate from this block. So we have two different blocks. For example, a patient is admitted with the COVID. He needs an echo to be done, cardiology evaluation to be done, an X-ray to be done for the chest, as well as a CT. All these investigations are put together, and we are getting an expert opinion online. Because not every time the cardiologists need to visit the patient to see what's going on. Sometimes it helps. So definitely, in pandemic, the technology has helped as an outpatient for consultations, for follow-up, for treatment. It is helping. And for inpatients, like doing an investigation like X-ray, ECG, echo, so that we can get an expert opinion, immediately we can get into it. So these are the two main things I would say. And of course, patients who want to come to the hospital, also they can come through online and they can get whatever the treatment they want without getting into the hospital, because a lot of orthopedic patients were scared to come to the hospital because of this pandemic. So that is the main thing I would like to say. Definitely the technology changed us. So even the patients are willing to come online, because they used to refuse. They want to say, like, I want to see a person, doctor. But now they know the situation is bad, and to honestly travel to a hospital to avoid infection. So definitely this technology has helped us a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your inputs. I was reading one article which they're talking about what is a percolation of technology among all the specialists. So I came to know in the western part of the world, I think we have not done in our country, though they talk about cardiologists, number one, which use technology. Second is orthopedic surgeon, and third is a pediatrician. So I think it is a specialty specific also, and I'm happy to know you are using technology for so many years. Thank you for your inputs. Now, my second question is to Dr. S.M. Saptanekar, who is a medical director with Godrej Memorial Hospital in Bombay. Sir, healthcare is witnessing many startups in this time. Every day you see some new healthcare startup is coming up. But we have always been seeing the resistance from the adoption of technology, especially from the doctor, which we were talking. So what are the challenges you feel you face in implementing in any technological intervention in your hospital during this COVID times? Over to you.
Yeah. Healthcare, it is witnessing many startups, agreed. But the startups, overall, if you see, at best 5% survive 1 year and 3% survive 2 years. So, healthcare wise, it is no problem. In healthcare, the problem is not with only with medical doctors, it is software design also. Right from the time computers were new, someone would come every week to me and show that everything can be done. And then it would be, if you do this, the computer will give. For prescription, for example, the drugs which are used by, say, orthopedic surgeon, diabetologist, cardiologist, are these classified and kept as a data library? They are not. The point is, this is supplier end. There are so many things which are left to the customer. Doctors won't adopt to it. The second is buying anything. The pharma industry, thanks to it, but they had accustomed the doctors to get everything free. So I'm talking about the general practitioner, clinics, private clinics. They it is very difficult for them to adapt to these technologies. Third factors is doctors, and there you will see the age-wise difference. What it used to be my generation, next generation, and the latest generation. My generation has got maximum resistance. Now they are with difficulty adapting to the desktops or laptops, but they are not very comfortable. The next generation it adopted, and the evolution of mobile phone that has done a lot of it. On the top of it, there was COVID, and the main hurdle was uh, permission. Government permission was not there. It was unethical to do telephonic consultation, video consultation. It was unethical. What was the punishment? No one discussed. But rules didn't permit. With COVID coming and use of mobiles, these two things they have streamlined it. Now the door is open for electronic transmission. But if the adoption of the doctors, which software? There is no universal software. I have got Health Volers Technology, Health Volers Technology, Ahmedabad, new software. Last 1.5 years, it is being implemented screen by screen. So very typically, the doctors, they say in half the time I can do it on with my hand. That used to be the case, but now with COVID times, the things have to change. Uh, WhatsApp has been used, is being used. It's being used for prescription left, right, and center. Rules don't permit it, but it is being used. And the software, the problem lies with the design. I will put it shortly. There are so many softwares. The problem is which one to choose. And you choose, after 3 years, there won't be any trace of it. Or it will be a newer version. He will say pay more and get it. That is difficult. There is one more software. It is excellent, but if you want the old records, you have to keep on paying, and there is no change is possible between the vendors. So whatever was the difficulty in software in general, Bill Gates designed Windows, and I will say that health sector is eagerly awaiting a Windows. There used to be so many softwares done, but none was satisfactory. With Windows, it became streamlined, it became central. Windows platform became the basis for so many to design, including Linux. So doctors adopting is not a problem. Mobile doctors are using a lot, but it is becoming manual, semi-manual. From semi-manual to computers, it will take little time. But for that, if it is to be urgent, Windows equivalent to Windows in health sector is urgently badly needed.
Thank you very much for your points. I have seen, in my hospital when I was in Bangalore, people are less than 5% people, doctors are doing video consultation. But with this pandemic of season one and season two, it has gone over 35%. So I think, technology is there. People have to make use of it. And I think thanks to the pandemic, we are reaching far-flung areas. We are doing consultation from US, we are doing from Gulf and all. So I think technology will change the culture, the way we practice healthcare. Now, my third question goes to Kishor. Kishor has worked with me in Ahmedabad and he's doing great in the information technology. So this question goes to you, Kishor. AI, people are talking about AI. So now AI is playing a major role in clinical decision making. And I understand that you work in a cardiac and a multi-speciality hospital where doctors are more tech savvy. So what is the future of AI according to you? Do you think it can replace the conventional method of decision making and role of doctors? What do you feel?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Neeraj sir, for this wonderful question. And of course, I also thanks to Elite team to give us this kind of platform where we can present our knowledge and we can share the few thoughts. Especially if I talk about AI. First of all, I would like to give a background about the AI, how AI are becoming more and more successful and going into healthcare era and delivering a result because of the all these things. AI is depend on data, and if we can see since last few years, especially the post pandemic, and in fact before pandemic also, there were so many healthcare service provider has started adopting the technology. And as the Dr. Subair said that the documentation is most important, and the clinical practice requires so many parameters which need to be documented, and healthcare service provider has started the documentation in the EMR form. So by gathering the detail from the scratch platform and analyzing them, that digital detail, the AI is becoming more and more powerful. Usually AI has playing a role in many of the areas. If I can give you a small example, AI was associated in healthcare since long. If I can give you a small laboratory example, one the senior laboratory, the pathologist validating the result, system will automatically give them a notification if that is the within the range, the result will be appeared. They have to just look at and approve it. So AI started from their era, but nowadays we have so many things on AI just because of the big data analytics, just because of the electronic record, just because of the healthcare has sanitized so many things, and now they are adopting a technology. So yes, of course, AI is playing a major role, and especially experts predict that AI to have significant impact in dialysis area in healthcare, such as a chronic disease management for the clinical things like the prediction. Once the patient is reached at the doctor level, the doctor diagnose the further treatment. Before that, the clinician, doctor have a power. AI itself will analyze from the looking at the patient condition, various parameter, data, and they give a more insight to the doctors. So their practice become more easy. Their practice become more qualitative and result oriented. So considering this, all these things, AI definitely going to play a big role in the market, and especially there are few department which is going into that era, and AI is performing a major role like pathology, ophthalmology, cardiology. There are so many automation tools are available who read the ECG, who read the patient condition, and by reading and validating from the backend database and give us a appropriate result into it. And yes, of course, there are so many use cases are available, and so many the literature are available who tells that AI is majority giving a good result which can be trusted by the clinician and can be accepted by the clinician for the further treatment also. So definitely the take home from my side, AI is going to play a major role in the special healthcare sector. Yes, of course, but the one thing is most important. Yes, our healthcare is doctor driven market. It cannot replace the doctors. AI cannot never ever replace the doctors into market. Why? Because patient need a personal touch. So they need a face-to-face consultancy. That's why the telemedicine is come in picture after pandemic. Before that, patient used to go and meet the physical doctors, and that is their approach. So yes, AI can be a secondary role. They can give a better insight about the patient. Doctor can go do a further treatment and can give a better treatment. That is the AI role that will be play a major role. But yes, that cannot replace the doctor practice. Yeah.
Thanks, Kishor, for your input. And you are very safe in saying AI cannot replace doctor. And I can see the smile on the face of Dr. Subair Khan. You are right. See, AI is there to replace doctors. AI can aid in the diagnosis. I always see, I was talking to one of the AI vendor who has done a good work in the basis of radiology platform. A single radiologist cannot see so many x-rays every day. Ultimately, she has to write NAT. But AI, based on certain logic, if suppose 1000 x-rays can be processed, I'm sure less than 30% she or he is supposed to see the x-ray. So AI can help the doctors. So I think it is fine. We'll go back to Dr. Kishor, Dr. Subair Khan after some time. Thank you, Kishor, for your words and your pitch for AI. Now I have got to go to Shekher, who is director for Bloom Hospital. And see, whenever I go for a morning walk, I have a cup of tea in the high-tech city, Hyderabad. I just don't pay. I just use the e-payment and the small vendor for tea. So I feel when these people can use the technology to that extent, why it is not seen in the hospital? So keeping in mind the digitization rate in India, how you feel, Shekher, hospitals or healthcare provider can actually get patients using electronic payment? How can we make patient adapt the digitized world? So your views on that? You are in the mute mode.
Fantastic. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Wonderful.
Please.
Thank you, everyone. Neeraj, I don't know how you came up with this question, whether telepathy was working on it or not, but you would be surprised that, yes, you absolutely aptly said that the payment has become, nobody wants to touch currency, nobody wants to touch coins because that's one of the most infectious things, thanks to Corona. But this has started pre-Corona. I'll meet up. This has started pre-Corona. I think what did it? The demonetization actually was a catalyst to digital currencyization. That was one big thing. And that has helped us being a catalyst to that. Anything what we do, we can automate, we can digitize. But there is a business process need. And what happened is, thanks to the demonetization, the tool of acceptance and adoption of this currency, digital currency made acceptable. Now, Neeraj, we have used everything in the past. The thing is, you very rightly said on the opening note that we have been adoption challenges in the healthcare industry. But the positive sign, what I see is it took 75 years to get to 1 billion consumers of telephone. 75 years. It took only about 5 years to get internet. Okay, it took only 3 years, less than 3 years to get to mobile connectivity. And it took only about 38 days to reach 1 million customers of Pokemon, the Angry Birds. So this rate at which you are seeing, the change, we should not be surprised that the change is there. One thing very sure is change is coming. This train has started and it will not stop. And this train is coming at a very high speed. If we adapt to that, we will survive. If we don't adapt to that, Darwin's theory, we will become dinosaurs. We will get extinct. Very, very writing is on the wall. Now we have to learn from the other industries and adapt. If you look at, if everyone rightly said, design and requirement, I think the center of our universe in healthcare is our patient. And I would rather, I think, healthcare industry start using the term without feeling shy, not call him a patient, call a customer. Our orientation will change. And customer is king. That is an old phrase, everyone knows. Today, if people say that content is king, I say content can be king, but context is God. Context is God. If a customer is there, there is a big difference between content and context. Like that, between a difference between a patient and a customer, that's the big of a difference. We start looking and orienting ourselves to our consumer and patient behavior. That's where we will go there. So just a small example before I go there, our customers are coming on a Ola and Uber. Okay, they are eating on Swiggy, Zomato. They are ordering on small basket, big basket. They are in 1 mg, 2 mg, whatever mg they are doing. Their whole world is digitized. But the moment they come to our clinic, it is a black and white 1947 movie. So there is a big contrast. The customer's expectations and desires, when everything is happening, the moment the food is cooked, your food is done, it is there in the 2 lanes away. In 1 minute, it will come. Everything is happening seamlessly. But our world, we have stuck up in that particular. Not that we have adapted, but I think changing. Things are forcing us to change, and we have done that. And Neeraj, just if you can see this one, you see this one? You talked about that chai wala?
Yeah.
Reception.
This is great. I got it. This is very nice.
Smart reception, and if you can see, we were forced to use this because customer does not want to touch currency. They don't want to pay. Now, this one, e-payments, when you said, e-payments is a fantastic word. People think that it's good. It is the next best word which has come in the last 3 months I am observing, and you will see is, it's not e-payments. Omni payments is the keyword. That means, doesn't matter whether it is credit card, debit card, wallet, Paytm, GTM, or any TM, there should be a seamless transfer. Today, we cannot deny the customer that if you have this card, I will take, or if you pay Google Pay, I will take. They want frictionless commerce. They have tasted frictionless commerce at a banana wala and chai wala, and they cannot accept that, an educated and a higher end service cannot deliver that. So it's our design which has to go in, which is there. And I am seeing that. I'll just show you one more example. If you see this particular one, and
Yes.
I will say, when you go to book my show, you click on it and you swipe it, you are able to do that. So at our center, we have started adopting smart reception and doing things. I don't know is it a success or not, but at least customers are responding. Now I see that 70% of the customers are doing frictionless commerce. I don't have receptionist. My receptionist and front office has reduced. Not that I want to reduce. I didn't have a choice because they were falling sick of Corona and everything. Where I used to have 3 receptionists in one of the centers in one shift, I was left with 1 because of COVID. They're not coming, not able to come. Now this self-service, like, you go to the airport and do that, people have started doing that. So this is call it digital commerce, e-commerce, and AI/ML. And AI/ML, the point what you touched there is very, very significant. Another fundamental observation what I see is all my respected panelists, the way we have classified our industry, that is a fundamental problem. We are trying to take a square and put it in a circle, or we are trying to take a circle and put it in a square. Why I say that? People say hospital and healthcare is a service industry. Fundamentally wrong. It is not a service industry. It's an experiential industry. When you go to a place, you are not paying for the text what you have written in the prescription, or the medicine, or the mg or ml or the test. You are giving a big emotional quotient and empathy for which they are coming to you. That is the difference which is there. Until unless we look at our industry, design our customer interactions from a experience. If Disney, there is a very good book called, Friedman wrote it. If Disney ran our hospital, how would we? A Disney without fun is like a hospital without empathy. So that particular thing we have to keep it, and our designs and everything have to be oriented using these technologies. Over to you, Neeraj.
Yeah, great. That is a great thoughts, and I fully support what you're saying with practical examples. So you told one thing known as book my show. I'm very impressed by that that application, whenever you want to see a film, I'm sure everybody's interested in film. Gone are the days. I'm talking about pre-COVID area time. Whenever you want to see the film, go to Book My Show, see which seats are available, book my show. So my next question goes to Dr. Subair Khan. After bringing technology into the healthcare, see, you see in some of the states like New Delhi with Kejriwal as the chief minister, they have created a wonderful app which can show you number of beds which is available, number of beds which is blocked. So, the transparency is coming into the system. How many ventilator bed, how many oxygen beds. So do you think that it will affect the expectation of the patient? What changes it has brought to the system? And how do you see the future of healthcare system by bringing transparency into the system? Say, for example, the COVID beds.
What you say is exactly. See, like what we've done in Delhi, we have it in Tamil Nadu also. So all the hospitals are enlisted, and you can see what is the bed availability with oxygen, ventilator. In fact, the patient inquiry is completely based on that. But only hitch is like it has to be updated every hourly or once in 4 hours, because the problem is it is updated on a daily basis every day in the morning. So what happens is, by the time the patient approaches us, they call us in the afternoons or in the evening, the bed status is changing. So that is one issue. But otherwise, speaking generally, the transparency of the hospital bed availability to the patient during the pandemic definitely is helping a lot. There is no doubt about it. Even now and today, if you see the statistics for the bed occupancy in private as well as the government hospitals, the patients are running for the bed. So the easiest way is to approach to them through the transparency. In fact, in our government, last weekend they have introduced a new method about distributing the remdesivir medicine. We all know the usage of remdesivir. In fact, there is a limited role, not like for all the patients it is indicated, but of course there is a limited role for remdesivir for patients who are suffering from COVID during certain stages of the disease. In fact, the problem is now the patients have been misled, and their attenders, they've been rushing to get remdesivir for all of the patients who are having COVID. They think that they need remdesivir. So there's been a lot of crowd in different places where they distribute these medicines in Chennai. So what our government did was they made this as an online distribution of this remdesivir to the selected hospitals, so that it cut down the black marketing of this drug and unnecessarily giving to the patients who is not definitely needing it. So what the system has done is they have made an app. Through that app, when you log in, you upload the patient's data with the Aadhaar card and all the details, and also the treating consultant's details. Depends upon the patients. They distribute directly to the hospital. The government distribute remdesivir injection to the hospital, so it goes to the needy patients at the right point of time, so that it is not misused and it is not been illegally been sold in high rates. Because we've been seeing it last 2 weeks before, it's been sold for high rates. We all know about that. But now, after the initiation of our government in Tamil Nadu, in fact, this main aspect has been brought down. So I would say like the transparency of the bed alone, as well as these kind of things like the availability of the medicines to the patients is very important. So, and moreover, we all know like there was an oxygen shortage in Delhi, and there have been a lot of deaths, and we are also facing that, because the main is the demand to the supply ratio is more. So the normal demand and more. So the production capacity for any oxygen plant there is a limitation. So now we are facing around 6,000, 7,000 patients per day. Almost there are 4.5 lakh patients are there in Chennai alone. So the production capacity of the oxygen is not to that extent. So what we are moving now is towards the oxygen generators. So even the hospitals, we are planning to put oxygen generators so that we make ourselves self-sufficient. So in fact, the government, the app has made it very clear what are the amount of oxygen beds available in certain hospital. And in fact, once they increase the bed in different hospitals also, it has been posted. So as you said, like, of course, definitely the transparency of the healthcare is going to help the patient in many ways. In fact, in future, maybe once this pandemic is done, I don't know how it is going to be. this transparency is going to help in the healthcare. But as of now, during the pandemic, definitely it is supporting a lot.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, my next question go to Dr. Saptanekar. Sir, first season of pandemic, India is struggling with PPE kits and all. And now we are the world leaders in making manufacturing PPE kits. Second wave of pandemic came, we are struggling with medicines, remdesivir, oxygen and all. I'm sure by the time we phase over from second to third, we'll be the largest producer of oxygen and remdesivir and all these vital injections in a big way. So I was thinking in the third wave, what is predicted, it will somewhere come in October because my partners are from Europe. They were talking about in Europe, a fourth wave is there. So I'm sure third wave will come. So I'm thinking in the third wave, there was an acute shortage of doctors and staff nurses, which you may see. So do you think, the remote monitoring of the patient is helpful in reaching out maximum people and to shortage of the clinical staff in the country? What are your views on that?
Yeah, even it is doubtful whether the third wave or fourth wave will come. But yes, if it comes, there will be shortages. The trouble is the treatment side. There has been absolutely nothing except oxygen, steroids, and fringe things like remdesivir. Even latest 3 days back, I read that paper. It has been conclusively proven that blood thinners don't help. So the disease, when a patient is to be admitted, is severe. With this background in the mind, what is it now today? The senior consultant sees the patient only once in a while. It is the nurses and junior doctors who are managing the cases. So that will have to be the case. Oxygenation, pronation, laboratory, D-dimer particularly, to just know this adrenaline storm and to treat it accurately with steroids. Beyond that, we have got very few drugs available. So whatever we try to make out, the hospitalized patients, the overall prognosis is poorer. You know the statistics. So the fear that is circulated that it will be a havoc, I don't see the havoc. The second wave is declining, and it is my personal prediction, you can say it. As you let the people mix, the incidence will increase. As you do more lockdowns, it will decrease. It should not exceed the admission capacity of hospital. So the hospitals having barest minimum facilities, oxygenation, BiPAPs, CPAPs, and I'm leaving aside ventilators. Those will be few centers because it needs specialized manpower to operate those ventilators. And other drugs, it can be given to MBBS, provided we have faith in them. Now, when the number is large, the question of faith doesn't matter. The patient may not be so happy, but when it is an epidemic, you have to swallow it. I'm aware that my views won't be so popular, but this is the truth.
Thank you very much for your input. Sure, what I was thinking, the video consultation and telemedicine practices have increased in the hospital these days because of pandemic. Do you think the change will be there for long? And how will be the new patient look like if this goes on and on? What are your thoughts on that?
The patients will, yeah, continue.
Yeah.
I think for me, Mr. Raj, want to share
It is for Kishore. Then I'll come back to Rashik. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, I definitely share that video consultation is playing a major role nowadays. Just because of pandemic, the healthcare service provider has adopted the video consultation technology because people don't want to go outside the home. They don't want to visit the healthcare. They have a fear of the disease about the infection and all. So video consultation is nowadays in on top. But in the future aspect, if we can see, the healthcare service provider definitely has to adopt the technological thing by taking that advantage of the technology. They have to reach at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, everywhere, and to fulfill, because of the with the limited resource, if they want to go and want to reach the on each and every area, and they want to give us a service, they definitely has to adopt this kind of technology. And video consultation is also play a major role because there are so many strategical case are available considering this video consultation. I would like to share one small thing. Say example, one strategical article said that if you ask a patient to do a first video consultation before they coming into hospital, many of the patients feel happy. Why? Because they feel the doctor touch, they feel the skill where they are going to operate, and they can know about the institute. So the ratio is converting patient from remote location to physical examination will be a higher. So strategy said that organization has to target the patient by adopting a video consultation technology. So the number of patient will be more from remote to the physical care. So that is the one small example. There are so many strategical use case are available for the video consultation. And nowadays, video consultation is also easier one. Each and everyone are aware about the technology. A 60, 65-year age person is very well aware about the mobile phone, smartphone, WhatsApp. Because of that, there are so many patients we have heard. They said, we don't want printout. Can you send me on WhatsApp? The 72 years old age person is happy to get their report on their WhatsApp number. They don't want printout, so that they can carry easily their data and they can showcase with the other doctors also. So the video consultancy, yes, it is a one small step towards the digital journey, which will help to healthcare service providers to enhance the strategical thing, to bring the new patient on board, and to deliver a care on doorstep at the patient doorstep. Yes.
So according to Kishore, it is here to stay for a long time. We have to
Yes.
change the culture, we operate and we see the patient. Thank you, Kishore. I am coming to Shekher now. Healthcare, people say it is all about personal touch. Like you're talking about. So do you feel, I want to read your mind on that, AI-based technology for predictive analysis is reliable? What are your thoughts on that?
I think is this is an engine which has started, and it's a big train. I don't think any one of us can stop it. So we have to adapt this one. And AI ML, no matter what we do, is here to stay. The predictive power of that. There were some examples by Dr. Shabir and Dr. Saptanekar what they said. This particular thing has been there. It will be as an assistant. The cognitive thinking is also coming, but the creativity and the exceptions. There is something called a Pareto chart, which is a German management model, which is called a rule of 80-20. Whenever we try to design, what happens is we get stuck in a dichotomy trying to solve all. So that's not the way one should approach. If we are able to have 80% of the situations and scenarios solved, which is good enough. Even a plane which runs, unmanned autonomous plane, which is called an autopilot, it's not meant for 100%. It's meant for 80% of the work. And 20% of the thing is an intervention. It will assist and it will support the person. And at the end of the day, overriding is with the pilot. Whether it's NASA or whether it is Avenger or whether it's anything, even with the Da Vinci, we will have to have the doctor's creativity. Creativity is something which still these machines and algorithms have not been able to do that. They can replicate, they can do things faster, they can do things cheaper, they can take out our mundane work. Doctor, so I believe that it is going to it is here to stay, and it will help us. It will help us do. Experts like you are very, very scarce. Dr. Subair, your expertise you have gained, you have got a implicit knowledge and a tacit knowledge. Dr. Saptanekar, your implicit knowledge and tacit knowledge are there. But your tacit experiential knowledge cannot be automated. That is my, but you don't use that experiential quotient on every patient. You need to use it only special occasions. So your bandwidth and high power, high octane kind of a intellectual thinking should be reserved for those particular scenarios. And the rest of the, I would say, donkey's work or absolutely, slog work, scut work should be automated. Dr. Saptanekar, I will tell you an example very apt here. During the COVID time, as you rightly said, we were starved with expert intensivists, pulmonologists, all these people. We were depending on MBBS, freshers, 1 year experience. We didn't have a choice. But what has happened is the protocols and the SOPs of automation of this one, they helped us give the consistent results, no matter shift A, shift B, Dr. Ram, Peter, Kareem, doesn't matter. Because it was a SOPized one. We in our centers have used something for COVID, the News 2 protocol embedded into that. ICMR protocols embedded into that. And this particular one was available to the intensivists sitting at their home. And we were referring them. They were able to see the parameters, the pulse oximeter, everything going up and down. Wherever the number of false alarms came down, they didn't have to rush to the hospital. And they were seeing the parameters. And coming to Dr. Kishor's thing, Kishor, we have not used video consulting this much. We have used 900 times the video power. No other industry has used voice and audio and video application as much as what the healthcare as industry has consumed video and voice and text and audio in this 1 year is hundreds of times more than any other industry has used in 1 year. So the video doing, we have been able to support. I'm not talking about small hospital, hundreds and fifties of COVID patients. I am not saying that the intensive on the ventilator we are able to monitor, but 80% of the wards and just oxygenation and all those protocols, easily we are monitoring. There is an escalation, there is a red, amber, green, it is automatically escalating. Somebody is not picking up the call, it is going to the next pulmonologist. And we have been able to reduce today we are able to do, let us not, be very proud that we have done it. No, it is the automation and the protocols and all these things which have come in handy. That's the reason doctors like yourself are able to see 2-3 hospitals and hundreds of patients, because staying in your place comfortably, you are navigating this one.
Yeah.
Over to you.
I what you are saying, it is very positive, and you're very right. Okay, we have consumed so much of video during this pandemic time. That's very right. Since my hospitals operate in south part of India, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and all. So all this IT generation used to say, we are working from home, WFH. I say we are also doing WFHS. By our meaning of WFHS is working from hospitals. So I think that is very, very important. It's good. So now my one question, which is for all the panelists, starting with Dr. Subair Khan. See, this pandemic is here to stay for a long time. Nobody knows when it will become, a day will come and it will become like a cold and cough, and everybody will forget. So we are into the pandemic stage. So what do you feel the future patients or the future hospital look like? Because we have to change the way we work, we have to the way we see patient, the way we operate the patient, entire scenario will be changed. So everybody's views, because we have now 5-6 minutes left for this session. So if you can just tell me in short, future hospital and future patient, how we should see in the future looking to this pandemic.
You are in
the mute mode. Yeah, you are in the mute mode. Dr. Subair, you are in the mute. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. See, since the pandemics has taught us a lot of experience about how to be the future of the healthcare. First, I would say technology is definitely going to play a role, right? Right from the ER or from the registration counter to the operation theatre to getting out, the patient is to go to a cycle. First thing. Second thing, the awareness about the spread of the diseases like these nosocomial diseases is going to increase. Like we need to use these sanitizers. That's going to be a daily, day-to-day life for another couple of years. We don't know how far it's going to extend. And in fact, we're going to have a future of isolation wards. We used to have isolation wards even before. The influenza used to be there. The dengue used to be there, but we didn't see this much of pandemic ever. That is the only thing. So we have to be prepared. I mean, even after a period of time where this pandemic completely subsides, there will be one or two cases here and there. So we should be aware about what is going to be the treatment protocol for those patients. So we have to be cautious even for a couple of years. That's going to be the same, like the protective gears and seeing the patients. In fact, like I mean, a simple example as being a surgeon, we used to do routinely as HIV and HPSCG for all the patients who are going to take up for the theatre. Likewise, that's going to be a routine for RT-PCR also. That's going to be there for another next couple of years. We need to check whether the patient is for positive for RT-PCR. Then we are going to take the patient for OT. So that's what we started been practicing all these years. I mean, from Jan, February, March, we used to do that. That's going to continue for the next couple of years. It's going to be more cheaper and more simpler. In fact, we have a big volume. Our screening system is going to become simpler and easier. So once the screening is become easier and simpler and quicker, the chance of spreading also comes down. So we will definitely identify a tool. One is the vaccine. It's going to cut down the virus. The second thing, the early detection tool, like the rapid card test, which is like not like RT-PCR. There's going to be some test where which is going to be ICMR approved. So now, in fact, like we do some patients an antigen test. In our center, we do antigen test as a screening. Like if the antigen test is negative, we wait for RT-PCR again. If the antigen is positive, and if the patient is exposed to COVID, then we keep the patient in isolation till we wait for RT-PCR to take it to the non-COVID ward. So that's a small screening test. Since it is not approved, for our safety, we do that and we take the patient to a different location. What I'm trying to say is, there will be a rapid test, so which is going to be a mandatory in future, so that we make it as a very simple test and we can avoid the spread of this disease, and it will become a routine for us, like HIV and HPSC, what we've been doing for all the cases, which we're going to take up for theatre. That will going to be the same for the future, and of course, the online consultation is going to increase.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Fine. Now I want views from Dr. Saptanekar. What are your views? What do you feel the future patient and hospital will look like?
I will be brief.
Yeah,
there
please.
will be a sea change. There will be irreversible sea change. The practice will be algorithm based. Artificial intelligence will have its role, but of course, just as Raj has said, 80-20 rule will apply. The person seeing you will be someone who is good to talk to. He may not be the treating physician at all. Just as we see renal transplant, he keeps on seeing the nephrologist. The urologist, they operate, but the contact of the patient is with the nephrologist. That way, things will change and the practice will be totally different in 5 years' time compared to what it is. The patients will change, the doctors will change, have to go through the adoptive stage. All the changes were possible 3 years back, but doctors, patients, and paramedics would not adapt to it. COVID has taught us many, many lessons. Medical practice will be most important lesson.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, Kishor, your future hospitals, future patient, what are your views?
As the other panelists rightly said, that COVID has taught so many things, especially healthcare service provider come to know that how to go and how to serve beyond our capacity, beyond our limitation, beyond our in terms of resource and all, how we can provide care to the patient in any case, in any situation. So the healthcare service provider definitely take on message from them, and they are preparing themselves by adopting a technology, by doing a small modification, by preparing themselves in terms of, because the physical environment is also playing a major role. How patient is traveling, how we are segregating during the COVID time. So there are so many experiment has done by the healthcare service provider during this time, because the need is more. They didn't feel that is there in under control. So in that pandemic situation, healthcare service provider has learned so many things. So futuristic healthcare will be always driven by the technology, and the care will be more protocol based, technology based, and that will be the futuristic healthcare service.
Great. The final comments from Shekher. We got just 2 minutes before we finish this panel.
I think fantastically covered.
Yeah.
A few points I just wanted to think. You asked me a question, how would the future hospital look? The future hospital will be completely different. Today, if you visualize, close your eyes and say that how a hospital look, the first thing what you think is a reception. I think reception is a gone thing. It's over. It will be self-check-in, kiosk and everything like that. From a doctor's point of view, you were thinking that your drainage area or catchment area is 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers around you. The feet on street will know. Feet on street is gone. Feet on street will be only limited to some of the procedures which need touch and feel and things like that. But in your life cycle, if you would have gone for you or yourself, your spouse, children, everything, if you have visited any medical healthcare provisioner 100 times, you have only had touch and feel necessity not more than 10%. It was only the psychological barrier, only not more than 10%. Only admissions happened only 5%. So 5% of the interventions of medical management in a hospital, surgical management, that's not going to go away. That's going to stay in the hospital. So our hospital infrastructure, suddenly I think all of us will renovate our hospital. OPD, which takes the premium space and the most comfortable space for taking in and towing in emergencies and trauma care, more than 60% gets occupied by OPD, which is the least revenue, most occupied, most expensive space for AC and everything. We can use it for all our surgical. Somebody has a road crash, they can immediately go to the ground floor. So those are the things. OPD probably is going to be out unless it is there. All the pre-tests and everything will be self-service. Probably we will have IoT devices personalized. We didn't imagine that a pulse oximeter, everything could be there. Trust me, I think pulse oximeter, BP apparatus, glucometer, everything or will be on the phone or something in less than 2 years. And you will listen into that from here. And there is no, except for sympathy and the emotional reason, supporting psychologically, but I see rest of the things can be delivered. The science can be done. I don't know about the emotional quotient, how we will deliver.
Yeah, I fully agree with you.
Absolute new animal altogether. OPD, I think, is gone. All the patients, like what HIV did as a compulsory test before your surgery, this one will become a compulsory thing. Everyone will come up with a report. And all these reports will be done, and there will be app, and you will come, and you will do a PAC before they come to the hospital. You will do a PAC, pre-anesthesia check will be done. You don't have to come to the hospital. And I don't see a reason why they should come. The design is the thing. We have to look at it totally new.
True. You're
Exciting
very right.
times.
Yes, exciting times. True. I can understand.
Parting comment. I think this is our opportunity, and this is the opportunity of India to the world. Because we don't have anything, we can build it. All the other countries have to first tear it apart and then build. So they have to deinstall and install. We only have to do half the work. We have to only install new technology because we don't have anything. So we have got a great start.
Yes.
Number two, 70% of our population is in rural area. So 70% of our population, which we were not, and 70% of the doctors sitting in the urban areas, we can democratize, and with AI, ML, and video and virtualization, we can address that 70% population. And because we have such a 130 crore population, what America can do in $100, we can do it in $5 because we have a volume.
True.
So India
Right.
will be a much more healthier country if we adapt the technologies and go rural and not depend on only 10 kilometers of our patients. This whole India is our patient base. You are a good doctor, they will come to you. But we have to learn new skills. We have to learn new skills, how to talk on video, how to act on video, our etiquettes of handling a patient, telephonically, everything. Those are the skills we will have to learn a little bit as doctors and healthcare practitioners. Thank you.
Right. Great. You are talking about the technology from my phone, from my iWatch. I can able to see my SpO2 levels. I can send the ECG in the PDF format to my physician. So you're right. The technology is here to stay. And if we want to practice healthcare in the new world, I think technology adaptation is a key. It was a wonderful panel. I thanks Dr. Subair Khan, Kishor, Dr. Saptanekar, and Shekher from Bloom Hospital. Wonderful panel, wonderful views. I'm sure our participants, our viewers must have seen this. They get enriched. Over to you, Pooja, now.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time and with a very in-depth knowledge of this panel discussion which we just witnessed. So we would just like to present you the speaker certificates before we leave. Mr. Neeraj Lal, thank you very much for moderating the session. Dr. S.M. Saptanekar, thank you so much, sir. Mr. Kishor Gojiya, thank you so much. Dr. Madhurkar Gaikwad, thank you so much, sir. He couldn't join, but we will definitely present him we'll send it to him. Dr. Subair Khan, thank you so much for gracing the session today. Mr. Shekher Janapareddy, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us. Please stay tuned for 2:15. We will have our next session. Thank you.
Thank you, all esteemed panelists. It was wonderful talking to you. It was a pleasure, Neeraj. And you have been a wonderful host and a moderator.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Kishore.
Thank
It was
you.
a wonderful meeting.
Bye. Stay safe, stay positive. Bye.
Bye.